Hold on. That took a little bit longer than I intended. Haven't used StreamYard in a long time. I used to use it with La Familia Loca all the time, but we've shifted the way we are doing our live events. And so I had to like reestablish the connection to my YouTube channel and Facebook. And so I've been at it for 10 minutes, but here I am 5 minutes late to the live. I'm so excited to be here tonight. And I am going to share with you some tips and tricks for making co-creating stories with your students more doable, more engaging, make you feel more successful. Share about my journey with TPRS and story asking and co-creation of stories with my students. And I have an invite for you to a workshop I'm leading very soon. So to give you a little backstory, like many people who teach with acquisition-driven instruction or teach using comprehensible input in their classes, I started with TPRS. I grew up as a baby teacher under the leadership of Diana Noonan in Denver Public Schools. And I had a mentor teacher. My first mentor teacher was named Joseph Diedick, and he was a master at TPRS. And I remember the first day I walked into his class, I saw a student standing on a desk, like pretending to bathe and shower their hair in jugo de basura. Jugo de basura in English is trash juice. And I was like, what am I even walking into? What is this Spanish 3 class? What is going on? And I certainly didn't think I could do it. And then as I learned, I was like, okay, I feel empowered. I can try this. But honestly, it felt so far fetched and I felt so far out of my depth that I was like, no freaking way. There's no way. So I started TPRS. I started with the same classes that he was doing it with, and I watched as kids who were so engaged for him literally fell asleep, got on their phones, like put their hoods on and their heads down, like could care less about a word that was coming out of my mouth, let alone acquiring the language. So I felt like I was floundering. I felt totally out of my depth. And then I met with Mark Mullaney, another one of my mentors who I adore. He's no longer teaching Spanish, but he and my friend Jenny Wetzig and I met, and he told us, you got to script it. So this is my first tip. If you are new to story asking or co-creating stories with your classes, or you have tried it before and it fell flat, the first tip that made me feel empowered and successful with story asking was scripting it. And when I say scripting it, Mark Mullaney literally meant every word. And I scripted every freaking word. Don't forget we're live. Y'all can totally interact with me. You can like talk to me and stuff. It's weird to know that like 8 of you are watching and not saying anything right now. Anyways, Mark was like, okay, you got to script like literally every word you're going to say. And I was like, every word that's going to take us forever. And it did. It took us forever to script all of our stories out and to say every word that we were going to say. But my stories went much better, and I wasn't scrambling to think of what to say next or what question to ask or how on earth I was going to keep my language sheltered, because that's what's so hard when you're starting with acquisition-driven instruction is how do you keep it sheltered? How do you not use all language and just stick to high frequency words with some out of bounds words? Like, it's hard, right? So that was a huge tip. The second thing I did from there that was revolutionary for me was I grabbed a highlighter and I highlighted all the areas where I could ask for student input. Anywhere I could ask students to give me a recommendation for the story, whether it was a name, a place they were going, a mode of transportation, something they were eating, something they liked to do, anything like that. I highlighted yellow so that my kids could tell me, okay, this is something that I think, right? And then the last thing, so that's another dynamite tip. And my third one for you is highlighting green. Well, I guess you could use any color, but I use green, where you can personalize. PQA feels really hard. I haven't done PQA in a million years. What I do is I personalize. Any opportunity, I see an opportunity to ask students something related to what we're doing, I ask it because I know that builds community. I know the most important thing in the world to them is themselves, followed by their peers, right? So asking a personalized question, it could be maybe ice cream comes up in the story. Do you like ice cream? What's your favorite flavor of ice cream? Where do you eat ice cream? Okay, is Dairy Queen or Baskin Robbins better? Why? Like anything like that where I can personalize and throw in those questions, I highlighted in green. That was huge. Also, just knowing in advance where I could personalize, where I could draw them back in. Because sometimes if I was losing them in the story, I could re-engage them through that personalization, right? Here is where I struggled. I struggled with equity of voice. That's my biggest. I struggled so much with the fact that I was getting the same 5 or 6 kids answering questions. In a couple classes, it was only 2 or 3. I got the same kids raising their hands to give me the names. In fact, they gave the same names every time. I got the same kids raising their hands to tell me where they go every time. So it was the same kids creating the story with me. It wasn't the whole class co-creating the story. It was some individuals creating the story for the whole class to listen to. So it didn't feel like community-based. It didn't feel equitable at all. I didn't have everybody invest in the story because if you are not co-creating the story, how can you be invested in it? If you are not contributing to the progress of the story and the details within it, how can you really be invested in it? Right? If you don't feel like your voice is valued, desired, or heard in that story, how can you be invested in it? So these were the things that were really bothering me about the story asking process, about co-creating stories, about TPRS in general. So I stopped. I also stopped because I was tired of feeling like I was spinning my wheels to engage them. About 4 years ago, I started dabbling again in it, but I completely changed the way I was asking stories, like completely changed the way in which I was going about telling the stories and getting the information. I also completely changed the ways that kids could contribute information to the story. Completely changed the way that my students could engage with the story and share their ideas and invest their voices in the process. That is what I want to share with you. And I want to share it in my workshop that I'm doing on January 7th. I gave you a couple tips and tricks for just the basics of like how to get started again with it. But if you are really looking for a way to engage all of your students in the story asking process, feel like you're not floundering. Okay, I'll give you another tip. And I did this on Instagram too. If you are floundering in the middle of a story and it's sucking the life out of you and your students, and everybody is like, please God, when is this over? Stop. Here's your permission to stop. Use a big bailout move. Episode 4 of Teaching La Vida Loca, one of my old episodes, gives you 3 no prep games, no prep, that you can stop in the middle of a story saying, you know what? We're going to do some trash ball right now. And you can switch to that. I have 3 no prep strategies. Episode 4, go and listen to it. They make excellent bailout moves when you're like, nope, this sucks. This is crashing and burning. Because that happens. That happens even when you have more engagement and equity of voice. And that's okay. But what I want to share with you on January 7th, my workshop is called Story Asking Reimagined. I'm going to be guiding teachers through a more equitable way to engage your students in the story asking process, more equitable way to see more investment and engagement because students have all of their voices heard in the story, and a way for you to feel more empowered and engaged in the story asking process because it is challenging. And let's just normalize that. Like, it is hard. This style of teaching, acquisition-driven instruction, is exhausting. It's mentally and physically exhausting, but it's also the best thing ever. So I want to give you tools to feel more empowered, to feel more energized, to feel more excited about the story asking and co-creation of stories with your students. I want them to feel more empowered and engaged in the process because their voices are invested in the stories that you're co-creating as a community. And in turn, you're building more of a community because of their investment in your stories. You got to start small. It takes with a lot of like building that community, but there are so many strategies you can use if you just tweak the way that you're gathering that information from them, and if you tweak the way in which you're asking the story in general. And those are the things I'm going to share with you on January 7th at my workshop, Story Asking Reimagined. If you want to join me, there's a couple of different ways. I think I managed to do this on Facebook and YouTube. You should be able to click a link that's in this description of the video. If not, go to tinyurl.com/LML Story Asking Reimagined. So like La Maestra Loca, LML Story Asking Reimagined. tinyurl.com/LML Story Asking Reimagined. And that'll take you to the workshop. I have never offered a workshop at this low of a price. It's $37 and you get the whole workshop, the entire recording, and all of the resources. And you're going to walk away feeling so energized and empowered to co-create stories with your students. And you're going to notice a complete change in the engagement. My biggest thing was when it was the same voices over and over, it was also the same white males in my classroom. So I really wanted to empower all of my students in that process and invest all of their voices in the stories, and therefore invest them and their interest in the stories, therefore building community. It's a beautiful thing. So I'd love to help you feel better and feel different about the story asking process. I wish I had somebody give me all of this when I was floundering 8 years ago with it. And I decided to leave it all behind. But there's a better way, and I'd love to show you it. I'd love to have you on January 7th. Let me know if you have any questions. Nobody has commented in the chat this time. It's okay. It's all right. I'm fine. It's okay. But thank you for listening. I hope that you are getting ready and settled for bed. And I hope that you have a fabulous rest this break. I hope that you take lots of time to rest. Work can wait. No work needs to be done. It will all be there later. Take your break. You deserve it. You're amazing. Hey, thank you. I am so excited. It's going to be so awesome. I will feel better. I am feeling better. I just sound crummy still, but I am feeling better. Thank you. Oh my gosh, your profile picture. I cannot handle how cute your kid is. Okay. I love y'all, and I'll talk to you very soon. Okay. Take care of yourselves. Rest this break. Enjoy your family, enjoy your friends, enjoy your days off. Lavish every second. You deserve it. Okay, have a great night. Bye. We're going to go make school treats. We're making these cute little ice cream cones with brownies stuffed inside. So you bake the ice cream cone with the brownie, and then tomorrow night we're decorating them, and they're going to be so freaking cute. So that's what we're going to do. Okay. And study for a social studies test. What? Gross. It's okay. Don't tell her I said that. Okay. Love you. Good night. Bye.